It's now time for The Sit Down with Don Tony.
The Sit Down, where Don Tony talks one-on-one with his followers.
What are you looking at?
About the world of pro wrestling, pop culture, and so much more.
The Sit Down with Don Tony.
And now, your host, Don Tony.
Now, that's your example of somebody who's made in the WWE. No, not going to be world champion anytime soon, but that's a made guy right now. Drew McIntyre, he is the master at manipulation. Talking about blurring the lines, guy is a master at it. And you could see that WWE is looking to really push those that can blur those lines just a little bit more. Yeah, and you know what? Austin says it perfectly in the chat. Drew looks like he's having fun. Looks like everybody's having fun. Well, if you saw the WrestleMania 43 press release, not everybody on that stage looked like they were having fun, almost like it was a requirement for them to be standing on that stage. We'll talk about it. We got a few things to talk about today. And obviously, all of your questions, we will answer as many as we can over the next hour and 55 minutes, I would say. Welcome, everyone, to the Sit Down. I am Don Tony, your pod father, your dog father. I want to welcome you all. I tell you, what a fucked up world we live in. No, we're not going to center this episode around what happened to Iryna Zarutska and Charlie Kirk. We will definitely talk about it. Something, you know, when you do this as long as I do, and we always, even back in the early days of the Don Tony and Kevin Castle show, miss you, Kev. Believe it or not, I'm pissed. I have a can of Fresca in the refrigerator right now that I was going to pop open in little dedication to Kev because he loved Fresca. Used to send him a case once in a while through Amazon as a little surprise, but forgot to bring it in the room, so we have to just settle for cold water for tonight. But, you know, I remember clearly 25 years ago, us talking about the pussification of America. The pussification of America. You could see it developing not too long after 9/11. And yes, 9/11 was a wake-up call as far as the hatred outside of the United States and, you know, what could happen if you take your eye off of the ball as far as security. And it changed us forever. But also you started to see, you know, this push, this real, you know, push as far as one side against another. And, you know, you would see like people getting coddled. You know, it's no longer, hey, you know, you fall hard. You know, it's not how many times you fall down. It's how many times you get up. Now it's every time you fall, we'll have a pillow waiting for you. And, you know, we've seen it in wrestling. I know this sounds awful to open up with, but, you know, we call it like it is. I say what I mean what I say. It may piss off people sometimes, but I've earned the respect for a lot of people in wrestling. Some people that you would think would want to punch me in the mouth for some of the things that I say, but I actually get a handshake, usually verbal, you know, because I don't see people in person all that much, but because they know, you know, my explanations are not based on hatred. But if you want a clear-cut example of that, you know, I was talking to somebody the other day about Reid Flair. Reid Flair, the son of Ric Flair, who tragically passed away from an overdose. And when I was going through the old episodes, asking someone their opinion on like what episode should I throw up next, he said, why don't you put up the 3 faces of Flair? And I was like, the 3 faces of Flair? He's like, yeah, do you remember when you put those 3 mug shots of Reid Flair side by side by side, and you seen him just declining every time there's a mug shot? And, you know, I went and I listened back to that episode, and I'm a little undecided if I want to re-put it back online. But, you know, the one thing is for certain is that because Ric Flair is who he is, the police in Charlotte basically handled Reed Flair with kid gloves. Oh, that's my son. You know, is there anything you could do? You know, it's my son. It's my son. Ric Flair did not want to see his son OD, and Ric Flair did not think in his mind that by, you know, bailing him out over and over and over again, that this would lead to tragedy, but it did. It did. You know, he was not allowed to fall hard like you and I would because we don't have celebrity family members, and he died over it. You look at the opposite side of it. Look at Brian Christopher, Jerry Lawler's son. That is so heartbreaking to see. This was a case where he fell hard. And, you know, look, you know, if you're going to play, you must pay. And he was in prison. And no, daddy wasn't going to pull the strings to get you out of jail, you know, right away. When we see what happens, you know, you never could tell how somebody could handle. But when you take an entire fucking society like that and you change it, and it just really, really turns shit upside down, man. And if you want a great example, and I'm sorry for opening up with this. I promise you we'll get into wrestling in 5 minutes. We'll talk about those two tragedies in detail a little bit later. But, you know, I mean, I know a lot of you have seen this awful tragedy that happened to a Ukrainian woman by the name of Iryna Zarutska. So I believe that's how you pronounce her last name. Zarutska, that's what it is. And you saw that picture, and it's awful. It's terrible. There's no other way to spin it. But then I saw this. If the roles were reversed and everybody on that train was white in that car, with the exception of the victim, who would have been a black woman, the city of Charlotte will be burning to the ground right now. And you want to know something? That's probably true, but that shows you what is so fucking wrong with today's society. The fact that all you do is just reverse the skin color and the reaction is tremendously different. That in itself shows you what's wrong with this country. I mean, I can't speak for other countries. I can only speak for here. You should be that outraged, whether it's white, black, straight, gay, Chinese, Italian, German, Mexican. You know, it doesn't matter. And the fact that you people, millions of people like that picture. And every person that's like, I'm like, what's wrong with you? It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that. And this has been building for a good 20 years. And no, I'm not any, you know, scholar. And, you know, I try to keep things focused in wrestling, but I think the thing that I take pride in, that Kev took pride in as well, is we talked about real life when needed. You know, when things needed to be said, we say it, and we don't hold back. And what has transpired with Charlie Kirk, I mean, that is the quintessential example of what else is wrong with this country. You know, but there's a bigger problem here. If you look at most of the mass shooters, the transgender with the school, this guy that killed Charlie Kirk, the other person in Colorado, you look at other people, the people celebrating in droves his death, the asshole that bought the same shirt that Charlie Kirk's killer was wearing, and he started vandalizing the memorial site. What do they all have in common? They're all in their 20s. People in their 20s and 30s know nothing else but what we have lived through since the mid-2000s. And, you know, I give you a good example. No riots going on over what happened to Charlie Kirk. That doesn't make one side better than the other. But for 20 plus years, what has been happening in this country, I've seen it. I've lived through it. I have dealt with people like it. You see people on social media right now. You see people who you respect in the wrestling world doing it right now. A lot of you out there, if you say to me, hey, DT, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. I'm going to vote for Joe Biden. I'm going to vote for whoever. I'm going to vote for Mandami. I would turn around and say, hey, I respect your choice. I don't agree with you. I think you're insane to want to put Mandami in office, for various reasons, but I respect you. That's fine. Flip it around. Hey, I think I'm going to vote for Trump. You're a racist. You're Hitler. You're no better than him. You're a misogynist. You're a Nazi. You're a homophobe. You're a transphobe. You're this, you're this, you're this. Right before the election, we had that asshole comedian in Madison Square Garden making fun of Puerto Ricans. What happened? Yeah, I would have kicked his ass out of that fucking rally. But what did people online do? Oh, every single person in that building was a racist. Every single person in that building was racist. When you have people who were born in the early 2000s that start understanding what life is, and all they know is the mid to late 2000s to now, that if a police officer stops this person, blacks are treated worse than this. And again, I'm not denying those statistics, all right? But when you have people that are brought up and all they know is this, and they hear for years and years and years and years, comedians, athletes, politicians, news media, over and over and over again, if you support this person, you're a homophobe, you're a racist, you're a Nazi, you're this, you're that, you're this, you want to break up families, you want to do this, you want to do that with this. And people don't know anything different. So these people think they're a hero. We've learned through history, through textbooks, that Hitler was evil. Anybody that was a Nazi should be eliminated. And now you turn around and you're telling people who are 15 years ago, who are only 10, and all they hear 10, and now they become 15 and 20, and that's all you've been, and now people are in office, presidents, and now the Hitler, the Nazi, the homophobe, the transphobe, this, and that, is now trying to break up families, ruin this, ruin that, ruin this. I got to do something about it. My life sucks. I have no purpose, but you know what? I could do something about it, and that's what happened to Charlie Kirk. That's what happened to Charlie Kirk. We have built for 20 years this mentality that if you disagree with someone and you take the side of someone that is labeled this, then you must be this, and this also. And that's what the problem is. This ain't going away anytime soon. We had a very long discussion on Patreon about this on Thursday because it had just happened. And it was also the anniversary of September 11th. And, this is going to take decades to change. And you see what is going on now, and it's awful. It's terrible. So, it's days like this that I kind of wish I had another YouTube channel that we could have these discussions on. But, no matter what I say, isn't going to change anything, but understand that the people that are the most somber on that side, and I'm not saying this is Democrat, I'm saying on that radical side, no matter which way you go, they're somber right now because deep down inside, they have a little bit of guilt. They spewed shit over and over and over again. And guess what? Words matter. Especially when you have a platform, especially if you're an influencer, especially if you're a journalist, especially if you're a politician. When you keep saying this shit over and over and over again, some whack job is going to take you really seriously. And then you decide, I'm going to do something about it. And this is why you're seeing mostly people in their 20s and 30s doing this stuff. The people celebrating online, are usually in their 20s and 30s, if you notice. The people that are much older are just fucking, they're already set on their ways. We got a serious problem, man. And it ain't changing anytime soon. Anytime soon. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Thank God we can move on in less than 15 minutes. So how's everybody doing? WrestleMania 43. This was the thumbnail I came up with for tonight. Yeah, move over, Travis Scott. Move over, Travis Scott. You got company. Now it's Turkey a la chic. He'll be in that ring. He'll be there holding whatever trophy that is. We'll put the Crown Prince in the WWE Hall of Fame in 2027. A lot of you want my thoughts on this. And look, I could be busted open. I could be Jonathan Coachman. I could be Dutch Mantel, Jim Cornette. I could be everybody else out there. Maybe not Jim Cornette because he wouldn't travel to WrestleMania. But it's funny, the people that have the money and people that have, the power to travel and all that other stuff, it's kind of funny how they really, 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 really get rabid about this. For everyday wrestling fans, like your JD from New York's, your Joe Cronin's, Jason Solomonster, myself, and a lot of others out there, the reason why we're upset about this, or annoyed, I think annoyed is this, okay? And I don't speak for them, but I think that I do. And if they disagree, post a comment in the chat. This is how I look at it. We've had 41 WrestleManias. On one side, you could say, big deal. It's 1 out of 41. It's almost like Undertaker's streak. The 1 in 41, Saudi Arabia. I don't want to act like I told you so. But Kevin and I 10 years ago were talking about, and I'm going to put those retro episodes up as some people are helping me find them. We talked 10 years ago that the United States market is going to start drying up. And you can't simply keep going to the cities you want to go to. See, AEW right now, their safe net is Ontario, Ontario, California, Chicago, Illinois, UBS Arena, Arthur Ashe, London, Ontario. There's a few, and once in a while they go overseas. And they're good. They're good for the foreseeable future because money is not the most prime concern to AEW. They have a billionaire. That company is fine. Financially, they're good. You have a publicly traded company. I remember years ago when WWF went public and started trading on the stock market. I remember this stock opened up like $9 a share, and I bought 100 shares. I ended up selling them awfully quickly. I think I only got $10 in change for each share. But the thing is, I remember people back then saying, I don't care about it's publicly traded. I don't care about ratings. I just want to care about what I see on TV. And 10 years ago, Kevin and I were having these conversations that you're going to see one day. We don't know when. You're going to see one day that they're going to start going overseas more and more and more. There was a time that we never in a million years thought that they would have Mania overseas or a pay-per-view. And what was the reason why? For my older friends out there, whether you were tuning into Kevin and I 10, 15 years ago or not, what was the reason why years ago we used to say, they're not going to do pay-per-views overseas. They're not going to do WrestleMania overseas because of the time difference. We never in a million years ever thought that WWE would give us a pay-per-view that would air at 11 o'clock in the morning, or on a Friday, or whatever it is. We never thought that. 10 years ago, we started thinking, you think they would do that? You think they would do that? Because there's untapped markets. You're a WWE fan and you're in Paris, France. And you never get the opportunity to go to an arena, sit there live and soak in that energy. I know it can get a little bit much with Backlash France and, Puerto Rico and all those chants and everything. That energy are fans that have been watching WWE for years, if not decades, and never getting the opportunity to be in an arena and to feel what we all felt, whether it was in the 80s or the 90s or the 2000s, whatever it is. They never got to feel, or they would get to feel it once every 10 years. And you could only fit so many people in a building. So when you start going to these distant countries, they look at it like, wow, this might be my only opportunity. And they pay prime money over it because this is their bucket list item. I was there when they had this and that. So for us, the names I mentioned earlier, and me, the reason why we're disappointed, it's not that it's going to Saudi Arabia. A year and a half ago, Kevin and I were saying, remember, the deal with Saudi Arabia expires in 2027. Whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Isn't that the same year of WrestleMania 43? They signed a 10-year deal in 2017. You guys will remember a year and a half ago, we said when it comes to 2027, WWE's going to be given fucking hand jobs, as long as that's allowed in Saudi Arabia, to try to get them to sign a new deal. They're going to bend over backwards. You guys remember those conversations? Did I think it would be WrestleMania? No, we never said that. I'm not going to lie and say that we did. But we knew when it got close to the end of that deal, oh, if they don't renew that deal, oh, the stock market, phew. If they don't renew that deal for another 5 or 10 years, you watch that stock dissipate. Not a lot, but enough that it'll be a big news item. So why we're disappointed is because the three letters, TKO. That's the reason why. When we heard that Endeavor was going to buy WWE, you heard me say it repeatedly, Kev say it repeatedly on multiple episodes that they're going to use the UFC template on the WWE. You heard us say that repeatedly. The reason why some of you out there never did is because you, with all due respect, wasted your time on other people's podcasts. They never cared about the business side. They just cared about, the bloodline, Judgment Day, AEW, Tony Khan goof. No, you got to pay attention to the business side. We used to talk about UFC. Look at UFC's revenue 2 years ago, and you see that they were on par with WWE revenue-wise, and you're like, wait a minute. How many events does UFC do in a year? Then you look at WWE. Holy shit, 200 events a year, 150 events a year? So now TKO gets it, and they're like, wait a minute. To get the same money as UFC, we have to do 5 times the amount of shows? Why is that? No. We're going to cut down the house shows. Remember last year? People were having aneurysms online. The house shows are being diminished. Yeah, until they have the UK and Scotland tour, or the France and German tour, or the Japan and Zimbabwe tour. And then all of a sudden, look, 11 events in 10 days. See, the house shows are not going away. This is why everybody is upset. Because Vince McMahon, even if you hated him, Vince McMahon was complacent. He was fine. He was a billionaire. He was getting his knob wet. He was in his late 70s, mid 70s. As long as WWE's getting a profit and everybody's getting paid, and the stockholders liked, simplicity. They like, what's the right word? They like a lot of the same, the norm. They want it steady. That's why WWE stock was always $60 a share, $70 a share, $75 a share. And compared to when they first started at nine and change, that's pretty good. When they signed the Saudi Arabia deal, and I'm not trying to give you a social studies lesson right now. I don't have any notes in front of me. I'm looking at you. But when they signed that Saudi Arabia deal, the stock went up to $100 a share. Unheard of. What did WWE do? They signed about 40 additional wrestlers. Go look it up. Not all at the same time, but they went on a spending spree. 3-year deal, 3-year deal, 3-year deal, 3-year deal, 3-year deal. Then COVID hits. Then all of a sudden, look at all these fucking people on our roster. We're not even touring. We don't need all these people. We don't. What happens? They release a whole shitload of people. And the snowflakes that we talked about earlier. How could you release people during a pandemic? Oh, look at Tony Khan. He's not letting anybody go. And the stock went up. Oh, WWE has record profits. So how could you release people with record profits? They're getting record profits because they did release people. Because if there's a pandemic, honey, I'm not going to be working for a little while. My wife comes up to me and says, honey, listen, my hours were cut in half. I don't say, let's go to Vegas. I say, we got to have to cut down on some expenses. We're not going to be able to go out to eat for a little while. We're not going to be able to do this. And if people were investing on us, they'd be like, you know what? They're being responsible. That's why investors had a wet dream over WWE during that time, because WWE was doing what was right for business. TKO is no different. I'm not defending TKO, but if you pay any attention for the last bunch of years, why the corporate side of WWE mattered, and now TKO, it matters even more. This is why the stock now is almost $200 a share. Remember, UFC was fine before WWE was sold to Endeavor. UFC was fine. UFC wasn't doing $200 a share. So how do you get from $100, $110 a share to almost $200 now? This is why, for all those years that we talked business, all those years that Kev talked business, all those years that we talked about the other stuff, I don't care about that. Talk about Andrade being released. Talk about this. Talk about that. I want to know what's going to happen with Solo Sikoa. Yeah, we could talk about that too, but you must stay aware of this, because this is what's happening now. Vince McMahon, steady as she goes. Stock $70 a share. That was it. Now TKO comes into play, WWE and UFC together. If they would have kept the same template like Vince had, the stock would be $120 a share right now, $130 a share. So now if you're an investor in TKO, don't you want to see it grow? Don't you want to see profits maximized? Don't you want to see as much revenue? There's going to be a breaking point. When fans stop paying for this, that's where the breaking point is. 5 years from now, Roman Reigns may not be wrestling anymore. Drew McIntyre may be at the tail end of his career. The Rock may not be able to do any more special events. 5 years from now, CM Punk could be retired. 5 years from now, you don't know who is going to replace those people. You want to go a little further? Go 10 years from now. Cody Rhodes is going to be in his 50s. Like, go 10 years from now. So what happens 10 years from now? How do you maintain that kind of coin, that kind of price for WWE entertainment if you don't build up people that could be the same or even bigger stars? And I don't see it. 10 years from now, I don't see the landscape of WWE being as big as it is now. So what do? You ride while the iron is hot. You ride the train. And that's what I'm not defending them, but I'm explaining to everyone why this is happening and why we are disappointed. Because this is no longer your Vince McMahon's wrestling. This is no longer WWE. This is TKO doing business as WWE. And for everyone out there that didn't want to pay attention, this is why people are shocked. I'm not shocked. Again, it's only one WrestleMania out of 42, 43. Big deal. It is a big deal because next is the United Kingdom. And next could be Paris, France. I'm not saying every year is going to be an international year, but over the next 10 years, you'll probably see WrestleMania outside the country at least 5 times. This is the new norm. Get used to it. The only thing that we can do as wrestling fans is hope that the entertainment we get on television is strong. That's the only thing that we can do. Again, when you see the Busted Opens and the coaches and everybody else, they could fly to Saudi Arabia and go there WrestleMania. In fact, most of them will. But for me, for you, for a lot of my friends in the podcasting world, they're not going to be able to make that trip. My God, thank God some of them can't make that trip. I think some of them, hey, let's go this, they got this bar on the corner in Saudi Arabia. Let's go get a couple of drinks. Yeah, you have a couple of too many drinks. You know, we're not going to get that, you know. Some people get arrested in Saudi Arabia. That's all you need is, some wrestling fans traveling to Saudi Arabia and then from Texas. Extra beer. Somebody looks at you, the fuck you look at? Here's your tongue. They chop your tongue off. I'm not saying they do that in Saudi, but my point is, thank God some people are not going to be able to travel all the way out there. My issue with some people online are the ones who don't go to WrestleManias. And they're bitching up a fucking storm. They're not bitching because of TKO doing what they're doing. They're doing it because it's Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia's been, WWE's been in Saudi Arabia for 8 fucking years. With all due respect, nothing against this man. But, you know, if the best you could do is to bring up Khashoggi after 8 fucking years, say that to fucking UFC. Say that to boxing. Say that to hip-hop artists. Say that to basketball. Say that about everything. I just saw a picture the other day. Hey, yo, slide slow. He's in Saudi Arabia with the fucking crown prince. If all you can hold on to is Khashoggi. Life fucking passed you by, my friend. Everybody in the fucking country who means anything in entertainment is doing business in Saudi Arabia now. It kind of reminds me of this union, with all due respect, the ones at the ECW arena, 2 weeks ago, protesting, hey, Tony Khan, you're a billionaire. How could you allow ununionized labor in the company? And then people online are trying to make it seem like Tony Khan is fucking with the unions. Tony Khan had nothing to do with it. As much as I like to criticize Tony Khan and AEW, they had nothing to do with it. But there's this guilt trip like, oh, look, the evil this, evil that. You're worth this, you're worth that. How's about look? There's people out there that are making a living that are ununionized labor. It's kind of funny. Just thought about this. Kind of funny to see some people out there defending, insisting that unionized labor work the AEW tapings instead of non-unionized labor. But these are the same people that, oh no, the illegal immigrants, they should be able to work. They're not committing crimes in this country. They should be able to work. You can't have it both ways, my friends. There are people working for those AEW shows that live in Philly that don't represent a union, that are trying to make some money to support their families and doing it the right way. Why? Because they're not in a union, they're doing something wrong. And for the record, just before anybody gets triggered, I, for one, feel that people who have been brought into this country or came into this country illegally and have not committed any crime since they've been here and have no criminal history overseas, they should be able to apply for some type of an ID number and be allowed to stay in this country for 2, 5 years, whatever it is. And then as long as you stay out of trouble and you're just doing what you're doing, you're just trying to raise a family, you get to renew it 5 years from now. After 20 years, you're still in this country, and then you can apply for citizenships. That's my view. Totally against Charlie Kirk, right? Does that mean that I'm going to blow him away because of it? No. So I have a lot of views that are on both sides. But, when you listen to some of these people closely, understand they're talking on both sides of their mouths, including some of my friends in the podcasting world. If you notice, they talk on both sides of their mouth and they don't even realize it. So we're disappointed about WrestleMania going to Saudi Arabia because of the bigger picture that's going on. This is your new WWE. Get used to it. You're not going to change it. All right, media thinks that they're going to be the heroes representing us and hit Turkey or Triple H or Al Sheik and others. They're going to hit them with a oh, how could you do that? No, they'll just say, no, we're not going to do media anymore. We'll just have Sam Roberts interview us instead. That's what they do. That what I do. That's what they do. So, we could only hope that the entertainment that they provide us on TV backs up what they're doing. Yeah, it's going to suck. WrestleMania is going to be on at 10 a.m. The pre-show probably started at 8 a.m. that day. My question is, what do you do about the Hall of Fame? I'll give you an even bigger one. Will WrestleMania be in March? They may have to go back to March because Rita, anybody know what Rita's season is? That's a celebration that goes on from October to March. So more than likely, WrestleMania 43 will happen in March. Now, late March is fine. I mean, my birthday's the end of March. I've seen a lot of WrestleManias right around my birthday time. That wouldn't affect them that much. But do I think WrestleMania will be 2 nights? It might. It might not. It's a $100 million deal. $100 million deal. For those that are really hardcore AEW fans, those money numbers really don't matter to you. And they don't matter as much to Tony Khan. The funny thing is that when CM Punk first went to AEW, that's when we heard $1 million gates. That's when we heard biggest merchandise seller in history. And then we realized very, very quickly that it was more about having numbers that could beat WWE. We just did the history show, and I'll move on. We just did the history show this weekend. And it's the anniversary of Will Ospreay getting the tattoo of 81,000 fans for All In. And then we found out that only 72,000 were actually in attendance. 72,000 is an awesome fucking number. All right. But that event is the example why I will never, ever, 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 ever be on here and go to focus on tickets distributed. That is a pussy bullshit, talking point. And the reason why I say that is because you're going to say to me that 11,000 fans had a ticket, purchased and unpurchased, and chose not to go to AEW All In. And because they did not go that day, we should count them anyway. If I'm going to use that mentality, I'll go to a fucking building. If I'm an indie promoter and only 100 people show up, yeah, but I gave out 1,000 tickets. No. 100 people. No. Tickets distributed 1,100. If I have a 2,000 seat building and only 200 people show up, I'll give away 1,800 fucking tickets. I'll throw them around. Every fucking bum walking up. Hey, look, ticket. Look, guys, I distributed it. Look, I distributed it. Am I supposed to go by that number simply because I distributed it? No. But they did anyway. And even Will Ospreay was embarrassed. He's like, I got this fucking tattoo. And look, and he deleted the video. But we didn't. 72,000 is an awesome number. For Tony Khan, it's, did it beat WWE? Did it beat WWE? Did it beat WWE? Did it beat WWE? So when you hear these crazy numbers for WWE, it doesn't really affect you all that much because you follow a promotion where money is not the prime deal. And that's fine. Listen, if I had Tony Khan's money and I was loving what I was doing with AEW and everybody was having fun and everybody, Maven is licking my ass trying to get a job and everybody's happy in the company for the most part. Even if my accountant says to me, hey, Tony, the real Tony, hey, Tony, you're losing $100 million a year. Yeah, but 20 years, that's only $2 billion. I'm worth 10. I can't take it with me. What am I going to do? I'm having fun. What do I care? If you have crazy amount of money, you're telling me that you don't do hobbies where you lose money? And you don't care because you're having the time of your life. So that's really the difference between AEW and WWE. That's why you can never compare the two. Can never compare the two. So, Maven will always catch strays from me. I created a video game over 20 years ago called Maven Invaders that still works. I still play it once in a while. Nothing against him, but he's a shyster. He's a hustler. He's figured it out, you know. I mean, and good for him, man. Good for him. But, you know, he does what he does. I give him all the credit in the world. Give him all the credit in the world. I think, truthfully, I think he's a nice guy. But he's a hustler. He's absolutely a fucking hustler. And he's lived in around my neck of the woods. He's a hustler. But that's okay. As long as if he does it legally, that's fine with me. Okay. Before we move on to a few other things, I'll tell you what I know about Andrade. It's not much, but it might help. Jim Kahn, thank you for your 5 spot. WWE no longer feels like it's for average people. It's now for billionaires, and Major League Sports feels the same way. Well, listen, not everything I say is popular, but I think people understand it. For decades, us wrestling fans wanted to be accepted. You know, when we were kids, we would talk about wrestling. I had relatives, fake shit. My father, watching that fake shit for. You know, you get hurt doing it, you know, do it again, you know. Even when you went out, like you couldn't really talk about wrestling. You thought people would laugh at you. We always wanted wrestling to be accepted. You know, even when it was around other sports, you see commentators. It wasn't that long ago. I watched it the other day because it was the anniversary. I was going through my old notes. Braun Strowman was doing, I think, an ESPN baseball game. If you want it, go look at this footage. It's priceless. Braun Strowman is doing an ESPN baseball game. And, you know, he's talking about WWE and stuff like that. And they put on a graphic that he has held like 5 titles in his career or something like that. And, you know, that could have been disputed at the time. But the thing is, Keith Olbermann fucking had a conniption over it. He's like, ESPN, really? You're really, you know, acknowledging wrestling? And they had a little internet war over it. But the thing is that we always wanted wrestling to be accepted like other sports. Now it is. And now you're realizing, just like with baseball, go look up how much it costs to bring a family of 4 to a baseball game. And don't give me Section 500 in the Boondocks, because if you go to Section 500 in the Boondocks for a wrestling event, it's still not, you know, hemorrhaging your bank account. But if you want some halfway decent seats, go look up for a regular baseball game how much it costs. Go look up a football game. Go look up the Rangers, hockey, basketball. You know, yeah, the teams that are sucking right now, yeah, those tickets will be cheap. But they're now treating WWE like top shelf entertainment. And that's what we're dealing with right now. It's never going to feel the same way. When the day that WWE was officially sold to Endeavor changed WWE forever. As much as you hate Vince McMahon being an older man and wanting stability, that was the word I was looking for before, stability. Just normalcy. Not, listen, you could do it during the draft. We're going to shake it up. You never heard Vince McMahon on a conference call to the investors. Guys, we're going to shake it up. No, they wanted just normalcy. They wanted stability. And with Vince, he didn't need the stock to be $200 a share. As long as he got laid and got paid and the bills were paid and they were making a profit, good enough for him. Now you got TKO. These are not wrestling people. Ari Emanuel is not a wrestling guy. Mark Shapiro is not a wrestling guy. These are business people, and they're looking at WWE as bottom line. That's why WCW went out of business in 2001. When AOL and Time Warner merged, the people involved were not wrestling people. The one person, Ted Turner, that cared the most in that environment was no longer in power. He had no control over it. And they looked at the books and they're like, oh, yeah. Get that off of the books. Just get it off. Look, I was talking to somebody the other day about Jason Hayward. A lot of you know who that baseball player is, right? I think he got released. And whatever team he was on, they paid like $25 million of his salary, I think, to go play for the Dodgers or vice versa or something like that. They were like, oh, just get him off our team. Whatever we got to pay, fine. And that's what happened with WCW. Just get off the team, release him. Vince McMahon's offering $4 million. Take it. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. The day WWE was sold is the day that the company changed forever. We see what we see on TV seems similar, with the exception of the stupid logos in the ring and Travis Scott and other fucking people getting involved and this and that. That's why I made that thumbnail for today. Because I don't think it would be that out of the realm to possibly see this, maybe not John Cena in that ring, but yeah, you could very well see that in the future. $100 million? You could blow me with braces and fucking fangs. I'll let Dracula with fucking braces included blow me for $100 million. You know, that kind of money, yeah. This is the world we're in now. The only thing that we could hope for is that they give us prime entertainment on television. That's the only thing we could hope for. We could complain. We could scream. We could in unison. You know what the problem is? 99% of us could all say, this sucks. And I'm with you. But what happens when they get $100 million and that stock goes up to $200 a share and the investors are happy and the advertisers are happy and the streaming platforms are happy? You guys have heard me say this for 15 years. WWE answers to the investors, the advertisers, and the networks. When you hear about ratings, that is intended for the company, the networks, the advertisers, and the investors. It's fucking embarrassing. It's fucking embarrassing for me to go on Google with my browser cookies cleared and just type in cable TV ratings Saturday. And you look, and they'll talk about news outlets. They'll talk about a sports game. They'll talk about this. But you know what half of their fucking results are? WrestlingSchmuck.net, WrestleNomics.com, WrestlingInc.virgin, WrestlingAsshole.shyster. And like half of the results are wrestling sites. They're goddamn obsessed with the wrestling site. I can't wait till 10 years from now where streaming is the now, not the future. And there ain't no more TBS ratings. There ain't no more TNT ratings. And Max doesn't give you the weekly numbers like Netflix. With all due respect, we brutalized Dave Meltzer last week. Did you notice how his scoop about manipulating Netflix's numbers never came out? Because I proved that he was wrong. I didn't do it to make him look stupid. I did it because he did not realize you do not include commercials. You can't turn around and go to an advertising company and say, listen, we want you to advertise on our show. This is the amount of viewers and this is how long they were watching. And then you take the airtime for other people's commercials? You can't do that. That's not how it's done. My fucking niece works in the advertising world and educated me on this. I can't wait 10 years from now when they're no longer on CW, but NXT's on a CW app. And AEW is only on Max. And there's no longer all this, choreographed, quarter-hour ratings. Kyle Fletcher's confrontation with Jon Moxley went from 630,000 viewers to 644,000 viewers. My friends, I challenge you, find me anything else on this goddamn planet in the ratings world that gives you quarter-hour ratings for a TV show, for a basketball show, for an NBA game, for an NFL game. How is it that... Because people are very, very creative. Prove me wrong. Nobody will. Julius Tillery. Any recent stories or annoyances from around the neighborhood? Instances of bad neighbors? For me, it's been interesting with Curtis Lewa renting the office next to me. On Friday, there was a whole bunch of cops next door. I thought something happened. I had my door open because it was a nice day out, and cops kept walking by, and I was getting a little nervous. I'm like, DT, did you do anything wrong recently? I'm like saying to myself, no. I thought, and then I realized there was a little bit of, security advisement because there's been some escalation after what happened with Charlie Kirk, and a lot of people in the political world, they had, they were just being a little bit extra precautious. But as far as my neighborhood goes, I keep my stuff to myself. I really don't engage with people outside. The last thing that really happened, other than assholes driving behind the wheel, I've talked about this before. About 6 months ago, I went to the post office that's down the block from my office. And I do this for anybody. I was leaving the post office, and there was a woman walking in. I'm not going to say if she was white, black, Chinese, married, he, she, it, they, identify. I'll just say it was a woman. As I'm walking out of the post office, she's walking in, and I held the door open. I do that for anybody. I walk out of a grocery store. If somebody's walking in, hey, I have the door open. Hold the door open. She looks at me. She says, I don't need you to hold the door. I was like, oh, okay. And I let the go. And I said to myself, wow, what an asshole. But I just kept walking. I kept walking. It ain't worth confrontation anymore. But that's outside of that, nothing. Everybody, for the most part, is pretty cool in my neighborhood. So thank you for that, Julius. Jim Connell says Jada Parker is getting the loudest babyface reaction of the NXT ladies. Yet Lola Vice, it seems, is unseating JC Jane and Jada Parker and is getting a heel turn. Lola Vice is obviously has a bright future in the WWE. Jada Parker is still, it's kind of my report card in the third grade. Needs room for improvement. Jada Parker, listen, I still remember when NXT first came around on CW, and we tell like it is, man. Almost everybody that I saw that was commenting was black, and they were online going, hoo-hoo, look at that ass. Look at all these asses in NXT, hoo-hoo. I mean, you got it, you might as well flaunt it. But when the first thing that a lot of people say to me about Jada Parker is her ass, that's when you know that, I think you need a little bit more time. Lola Vice is really branching out. She's doing great in doing the AAA stuff. I want to see that she turn on Mr. Iguana. Do they do a storyline when Mr. Iguana gets a little bit of a crush on Lola Vice, and then she turns around and beheads the puppet? No, I don't think they would go that sinister. But you strike while the iron is hot. And Lola Vice, they wanna, if they turn her heel, experiment with it and see. That might need, what they need to just take it to the next level. I don't know, but she is killing it right now. To me, I put her on the same level as Braun Breaker. Not talent. I say it like this. Braun Breaker, it got to a point in NXT where you knew he was ready. And you knew that when they finally put him on the main roster, there's no turning back. It's the same thing with Lola Vice. The day they put her on that main roster, it's no turning back. It's Jets, and that's it. And she is much closer to that. And even if Jada Parker were to get promoted before Lola Vice, even if Jada Parker, because there was one point where we thought that Trick Williams was going to get promoted before Carmelo Hayes. But even if Jada Parker got promoted first, that doesn't mean that the Jets are behind her and let's push her to the moon. She could go to that main roster and end up back kind of mid-card. So getting promoted doesn't necessarily mean that you're above someone else. They're going to experiment with Lola Vice. And if you're into Lola Vice, it doesn't matter if she's a heel or a babyface. You just know that she's killing it at what she does. And Jada Parker, I personally think Jada Parker needs a little more time in NXT. I think if NXT fans feel that Jada Parker's being slighted, that could also backfire a little bit. on WWE, look at El Hijo del Viqueño. Mexican fans didn't turn on El Hijo del Viqueño because suddenly he sucked or suddenly he was a sellout. No, they were taking the fact that Alberto El Patron was taken off TV. Somebody had to pay for it. Somebody had to pay for it. And they took it out on El Hijo del Viqueño. Now, I still think that Alberto El Patron will be around soon. Unless he shows up in CMLL with Andrade. We'll speak about Andrade shortly. Police Squad, thank you for the 10 spot, my friend. What's the first possible match that comes to mind for WrestleMania 43 in Saudi Arabia? What is that, a microphone? After it was made official? After it was made official. Little misspelling. I don't know what that symbol is. What's the first match that comes to mind? Possible match? I think it's got to be Rock versus Roman Reigns. You know, it's funny. I swear to you, I'm not making this up. If I'm exaggerating even in the slightest, I won't do another show for the remainder of this week. If you do a Google history search, go back 6 years. Yeah, go back to 2018. Type in from around, I would say, August to October. Do a search from August to October of 2018, and you will see an interview where Roman Reigns says he would like to face The Rock at WrestleMania like 35, whatever it was. And then you go to 2019, and I don't remember what the match was, but right around that same time, you see the rumors again. You know, WWE may have The Rock face, right? If you do every year from 2018 to now, every year you will either find a Roman Reigns interview or a Rock interview, because Rock did 2 interviews, 2 different years. Before COVID hit, they were going to go to Hollywood. The Rock talked about how he would love to face Roman Reigns. They have teased this 6 different years. I'm not making it up. In fact, maybe one day very soon I'll do a little montage and play over 6 different years they were teasing Rock and Roman. People are getting a little tired of it now. So I think that's your match. I think that is your match. And the funny thing about it is you could do almost a Rock Cena thing. Remember when they hyped up Rock Cena a year in the making? You could have Rock show up at WrestleMania 42, do something to Roman, and that's the match for a year later in Saudi Arabia. And what that does, it kind of qualms the rumors for the next year. I wonder who Roman will face at WrestleMania 43. If they do that a year in advance, you already know what the end game is for WrestleMania 43. We just will wonder, what is Roman going to do during the year before it gets to that? So that's the match I go with. That is the match I go with. What do you all think? Any other matches come to mind? For me, that's the only match I can think of right now. Nero Faye, what's up, Nero? Tuning in all the way from Israel. Much love, DT. Pray for peace. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I will talk a little bit more about Charlie Kirk a little bit later. We'll stay on a wrestling frame of mind right now because that is awful. I know we opened up talking about it. I think we pretty much, summed up everything, but I also want to talk about that awful tragedy on that train too. We'll talk a little bit later. But I do believe that, peace will be coming in a lot of areas of the world sooner than later. Just unfortunately, there'll always be evil. There's been evil for thousands of years. And you're not simply going to resolve it simply because more people need mental health. There's some people that just enjoy hurting other people. To me, anybody that kills someone else is already demented. And look, I was friendly with some people that were in the mob. That I have a couple of customers that did decades in jail for some pretty outrageous shit. I mean, they've paid their dues, they've done their time, and now they live a straight life. and, hearing some stories about what they used to do back then. And I say to myself, that is fucking sick, man. There's one customer of mine, I don't want to get too deep with it, but there's one customer of mine that was telling me stories. I'll tell you a quick story. All of you will get a kick out of this. It's crazy, but you'll get a kick out of it. I have a customer that's almost 80 years old that has insurance with me still, his house and a few other things. And about 4 or 5 months ago, another guy comes in, late 70s, has insurance with me too, and they bump into each other in the same time. And they know each other, and they're kissing each other on the cheek, oh, blah, 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 da, 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 blah, 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 blah. And they're talking a little bit, and one guy leaves. So I said, oh, so you know so-and-so? He's like, yeah, he's from my town in Italy. And I was like, oh, really? I was like, yeah. He's like, if you had any idea what we used to have to do, the struggle and everything. And he was telling me that listen to this, and I obviously I would not be able to make something like this up on spur in a moment like this, but he was telling me that his families were so poor because their fathers were in prison too because of, the mob connections. They were so poor that late at night they would walk through. But if you ever heard the stories Bruno Sammartino told about living in the mountains and walking for hours just to get food, that is real. That is legit real. And if you add up the time frame, it's around the same time as these guys. This guy was telling me that when they were like 10 years old, in the middle of the night, they would walk for like, I don't want to say miles, but they would walk in the middle of the night to the mountains. And they would find somebody who has a farm that has like goats or whatever it is, and they would steal a goat and bring it back to the house, and in the middle of the night, take it out, if you know what I mean. I don't mean a date. And, make meat out of it and put it in a fucking freezer in the middle of the night for their mothers. Because they didn't have money like that for real food. So they would go in the middle of the night, steal somebody's fucking goat, and it's kind of going deer hunting. But 10 years old, that's sick. I felt bad catching a fucking little bluefish. And, yeah. So, how we got on that, I have no idea, but thank you. Thank you, my friend. Neil, we'll talk about Charlie Kirk a little bit later. All right. I saw this picture of, if you saw AAA, you saw what happened with Demonito. Finn Balor was on a plane with Demonito, consoling him, doing better. So, by the way, we did pretty good with our predictions. The only match we got wrong was I thought Lola Vice and Misty Iguana were going to lose. Never thought they were going to win that match, but they won that match. Oh, you know what? Do you guys want to know how you could get ESPN Unlimited for free right now? Would you like to know? I actually did the research. This was not clickbait. There's actually ways that you could get ESPN Unlimited for free in time for WrestlePalooza. And let me tell you something. One of the deals I'm actually thinking about, and I'm not just saying that, I make no money off of this. Some of the deals, not really all that spectacular. I will tell you, and I took notes, I have it here. It's not going to take long for me to explain this. I will tell you one way you can get it. It's not a bad deal until you start shopping, okay? Right now, Samsung. How many of you own a Samsung TV or maybe think Samsung's a good product? Samsung has a deal right now up until January 23rd, 2026. In order to claim this deal, you have to do it by January 23rd. If you buy certain televisions, certain models of their TVs, you could get ESPN Unlimited for free for an entire year. Okay, here's the problem though. I did some research on the TVs. The TVs are the models, the Glare, the Frame Pro, the ON1EF lines, and the QLEDs. The cheapest TV that I could find was a 43-inch TV QLED for $999. So you're not going to be able to go on Best Buy and buy a TV for $300 and say, look, I got ESPN Unlimited for a whole year for free. Think about it. $30 a month for 12 months is $360. You're going to get $360 of free ESPN, but you're going to have to buy a $1,000 TV. You know, distributed. Tickets distributed. We ain't doing that. All right. Here's the one that everybody obviously should know by now. If you get the Disney Plus and Hulu bundle, you get ESPN Unlimited for an entire year for the same price. Hulu and Disney Plus is $29.99 a month combined. If you get that bundle, you can get ESPN Unlimited with it at no extra cost. Now, here's a little tidbit that some of you may not know. I was a Disney Plus subscriber up until around October of 2022. I was a Disney Plus subscriber for about 4 months. And the reason being is because when I went on my honeymoon to go to Disney in Florida, I had never been to Disney before. My wife wanted to go. Should not listen to her. But anyway, if you were a Disney Plus subscriber, you could get a better deal on the package. And we ended up staying at the Grand Floridian, and we ended up saving about $3,000 off our travel package simply because we were a Disney Plus subscriber. When I came home, the first thing I did was curse my wife out for giving me COVID. Second thing was I took a shower, and the third thing was I canceled Disney Plus. I don't watch Disney. Fuck Goofy. Fuck Mickey Mouse. So if you get the Hulu Disney Plus package, you get ESPN for free. Now, here's where it gets a little more interesting. I'm going to save the deal that I'm considering for real for last. Direct TV. Streaming only. If you have a Roku and you have Direct TV through your streaming, this applies to you. This is not DirecTV regular cable deal. For streaming only, the DirecTV signature package for the DirecTV satellite and UVerse customers, they will offer a package later in the future. But if you have the streaming app, you can get it right now as part of your subscription. What you would do is you would log into your DirecTV streaming account, and you go to the menu and you'll see that you could get ESPN Unlimited for free. It's part of your deal. You select that option and now you have ESPN Plus, Unlimited as part of your DirecTV streaming only package. All right, this is the signature package. I'm not a DirecTV subscriber, but if you have the signature package, you get ESPN Unlimited for free. Fubo TV. Fubo. That was a sneaker, right? Fubo TV. It's ESPN Unlimited is available for everyone who has Fubo TV subscriptions. Anybody who has the standard Fubo base plan already has ESPN in their lineup. Again, go to your account, log in, and you should see an option where you could select ESPN Unlimited as part of your deal for free. You get, it's part of your Fubo Sports plan, your Fubo Pro plan, the Elite plan, and the Deluxe plan. If you have one of those plans, you get ESPN Unlimited. Now, the one that I'm seriously considering myself, and I'll tell you why. Spectrum. Charter Spectrum for some of you out there. You can get ESPN Unlimited right now at no extra cost if you have the Spectrum TV Select Signature package, the Spectrum TV Select Plus package, that's the one I'm considering, and the Spectrum TV Platinum packages. All right. Now, why am I seriously considering this? I'll tell you why. I have Verizon Fios for my internet. I have the 1 gig plan. I think I pay like $99 a month just for internet. I went on a lot of these platforms to research and make sure this was legit before I added it to my notes. And when I went into the Spectrum, because I used to have Spectrum like 7-8 years ago, and I got rid of it. But when I went and I looked it up, all right, when I selected the Plus package, it told me that if I wanted to add internet and phone to it. When I looked up the internet to get, I think, 500 megabyte plan, I think it was only $30 a month more. So if you buy a bundle package with Spectrum, the internet is much, much, much cheaper than as a standalone. I'm already paying $100 a month. Now, yes, 500 megabytes is half of a gig, but if I went with a gig with Spectrum, it's still only $40 a month. So think about this. I don't know exactly how much the Select plan is in your area, but if I went to Spectrum and got the Select Plus, plus internet, and another $15 for phone, which I probably wouldn't need, how much am I paying a month? $150? So think about this. I'm paying $100 already. I'm paying an extra $50, and I'm getting 160 channels for the regular cable service, and I'm getting ESPN Unlimited. So if I just, right now, for me, if I just keep my Verizon Fios and go get ESPN Unlimited, I'm paying $130 a month. For $20 more, I could have a whole package again. Here's the best part about it. Spectrum is offering a 3-year lock-in plan. You don't have to sign a contract for 3 years, but they guarantee that your price will not go up for 3 years. So that is pretty good. That is pretty good. For everybody with the hybrid questions about Infinity and stuff like that, if I didn't mention it, it's probably not a deal. But I always suggest that you call your local cable provider and just ask them. Or you just simply log into your account and see if there's an option where you could select it for free. They're not going to automatically give it to you. You know, it's kind of like here in New York. A lot of elderly people in my neighborhood who live on Social Security, they have no idea that their property taxes could get cut in half. All they have to do is apply for it. And every year I have a few elderly people that I have insurance with me, and I'll say, hey, you get the rebate for your property taxes, right? And they'll say, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'll say, do you get any other income other than Social Security? Well, I get $200 pension. And I'm like, yeah, you qualify. Your property taxes, you save $3,000-$4,000 a year on your property taxes. Well, how do I do that? You got to just fill out a couple of forms and include a copy of your tax return. And I help them and they get it. And they're like, how do they not know about this? They're not going to tell you. You know, they're not going to tell you. You find out, oh, wow, if I request it, I get it. Same thing with this. They're not going to simply, and you would think that they would automatically just include it so they could brag, wow, we got 8 million people that now have it. You have to log in and you have to click add, and you get it for free. So I wanted to share that with everybody. Maybe that'll help somebody out there. And if it does, you're very welcome. My pleasure. My pleasure. Andrade. And we'll continue questions. Andrade. He's gone from WWE. He's been off TV for a little while now. And I've asked a few people if they've heard anything. I asked someone who is, let's say, in a similar situation. No, it's not cross. I don't want to put this out there and call it a rumor. But supposedly there was some type of incident with Andrade and WWE. And I think Meltzer, give him a little credit for this. I think Meltzer is the first one that went public and said he was sent home. Now, I don't know if it's that cut and dry, but one thing that people haven't said online, and I'm trying to verify it, and please, don't take this as news, but someone who I trust pretty good, who's, you know, got enough connections, friends, not just, you know, people online that like him. This may have to have been an incident with Charlotte. There might have been a little bit of a back and forth with Charlotte. I don't know if it's true. I don't want to put that out there. Please do not run with this and say that. Somebody told me that, the incident may have involved Charlotte. There might have been some awkward incident backstage. Remember, they were married and got divorced. Do I believe it? I don't know. Only because, they're professional enough, to business is business. Charlotte recently was seen, wasn't she pictured with Alex Rodriguez and other people? No, none of us thought that anybody was dating anybody, but, this person said that he heard that someone else that there might have been some type of an incident with Charlotte Flair. And let me tell you something, if we're all honest, and I think we all agree on this, if WWE was going to make a decision, Andrade or Charlotte Flair, they're going to take Charlotte Flair every time. I think Andrade, he's got very limited options. Could he go back to AEW? Sure. Would I bring him back to AEW? Why? Why? You see how people, let me put it this way. Where do you think Andrade would fit back on television? I mean, Forbidden Door season? When you're starting to work with CMLL people? If I'm Andrade, I would maybe consider working with CMLL, or maybe even working for Indies, MLW, few options that way. AAA, I don't think is an option, especially now with WWE involved. I don't think it's an option. So, it's going to be interesting to see where Andrade goes next, but that's what I'm trying to find out. Again, I have no confirmation. I'm not writing this publicly, but someone said to me that he heard that there might have been some type of incident with Charlotte, and it got very, very awkward very, very quickly, and it led to some type of, incident. That's all I know. So, all right. Let's get into some more questions. New Japan, as far as a fresh start for him, I don't see, I could see Andrade going to Japan, but I think he would be so much better suited. They have some, I don't want to say indie promotions in Mexico, but you got to remember, they don't make crazy money in Mexico. I appreciate some of you out there that I believe reached out to Conan, because I've talked about this on the show. And Conan recently was talking about how some of those wrestlers in AAA were almost at the poverty level. This is something I've talked about numerous times on these shows. The amount of money that you think some of these AAA wrestlers get, there's a reason why front row tickets are only $70. Floor seats are only $20. The money to be made is very, very small in AAA and Mexican wrestling. You're not going to break the bank. You have to be able to branch out outside of Mexico. And especially, with his lifestyle, I just how do you make that kind of money? I mean, you can make it, and expanding, but the options are limited. So Van says there's an old saying, don't eat where you shit at. I get it, but listen, real life comes into play. You get married to someone, if that's even the case with those two, and it could be a very awkward situation. I mean, plus we don't know how mutual it was. We don't know, we just don't know. We don't know. And I don't even want to assume, but I don't want to, and let's also be fair. We don't want to immediately insinuate that Andrade was, complete instigator here. I mean, him being sent home makes you think he kind of did something that he shouldn't have done. But, we don't know what the provocation was. For all we know, we could find out that he got drunk in a bar and threatened to beat somebody up. You know what I'm saying? Don't take it too deep. But the fact that he is not in WWE right now, that is true. That is true. Chris Gallegos says Tony Khan is not a good businessman, but takes advantage of other promoters. I don't think he takes advantage of other promoters. I think some other promoters out there, the money to be made is not what people think it is. And especially if you're alluding to Mercedes Moné holding other people's titles. Yeah, I mean, on TV, they never really mention what these titles are, which I'm kind of thankful for, because the last thing I need is Excalibur to fucking remind me, like, 9 belts. Like, all right, okay, all right. If I want to know what title she has, I'll Google it. I'll wiki it. You know, like, but to have Mercedes representing your company, you know, for some people, that's good enough for them. That's an advertising thing. Listen, no one's talking about it, but I have. PWI's 500 is about to launch. Wait till you see where Mercedes is listed on that PWI 500. I just wait. Or the women. I don't know. Do they incorporate the women with the men? I don't think they do. So wait till they bring the women's one out. But the PWI 500 is coming out. And there's going to be some very interesting names and see how they are on that list. But I think Mercedes is going to be number one on the women's side. I don't even think it's close. She's number one. I think, you know, some other women could have made the argument for number one, but Mercedes, whether you like it or not, the last 12 months, she is the top woman in the country, in the world, because they include outside the United States as well. Dave Arlo, do I think TKO will open a PC Performance Center in Vegas with AAA being the mainstay like NXT in Florida? No, I don't think so. Because AAA is a Mexican wrestling company, and they're trying to expand it by having these Worlds Collide events. I was laughing at one podcast. I'm not going to say who he is, but he's got more subscribers than I do. And I watched his live stream, and there was one point he's like, why are there all these WWE people on this fucking show? And I literally, I wanted to so bad, but I was like, nah. I was like, it's because it's called Worlds Collide, Polak. It's called Worlds Collide, dummy. This isn't Triple Mania. This is Worlds Collide. Get it? WWE, AAA, Worlds Collide. Ah, what a doofus, man. I literally, why the fuck all these WWE? It's because it's Worlds Collide. Hey, Natalya won. We predicted that. Natalya, who is someone? She's like the Buffalo Bills. You know, especially in the 90s, 80s and 90s, Buffalo Bills. Get to the final. But unfortunately, Scott Norwood is always a special guest referee. We knew Natalya will get to the final, but Dom Two Belts. Hey, there weren't many thumbnails that I took from AAA. Oh, I don't think I downloaded the Dominic one, but I was popping for Dominic, man. I was very, very happy to see Dominic win, man. Oh yeah, I did take it. Yeah, I got it here. There was only 2 thumbnails that I took from that event. Oh wait. Oh, I can't put it's in a stupid format. People online with these ridiculous formats for pictures now, because their data plan is so fucking cheap on these websites. I must convert it to AVIV format or WPEPB format. I download fucking photos and I go to, like put it to share with someone. No, this format cannot be interpreted. How many of you deal with that shit? Fuck all of you cheap bastards out there. Nah, I don't see her winning a AAA title. She could suddenly come out with a whole bunch of Raja Jacksons and AJ Manas and everybody looking like they're from the hood. She could wear those fucking, mouthpieces. She could go like this all she wants. And at the end of the day, if the promotion she's working for has the letters WWE in it, she's going to like look down and the cowboy hat. Put it this way. You see this picture of Finn Balor? Like, she'll be looking on the floor and her cowboy hat will be looking up at her like, you'll always be known as Jim's daughter. No, in WWE, no, you got to put the cowboy hat on. No, no middle finger. No mouthpiece. No, but makeup. And not just black on the eyes. How long do we have this dumb fucking ESPN graphic on the screen? I'm very happy for Dominic. You know, it's funny. I was cleaning off my desk. Let me just show you something. I was cleaning off my desk. And I was looking at like some cards that we never gave away, that we were going to give away for when we were doing watch-alongs and stuff. And I got like all these Dominic Mysterio signed rookie cards. I got multiple ones here. Oh, look at this. I got AJ Lee's rookie card still over here. So I have about 9 Dominic Mysterio signed rookie cards. In fact, that was his old signature. I don't know if anybody ever sees a Dominic Mysterio rookie card now. I mean, the way he signs now, he don't sign like this anymore. He used to write D Mysterio. I'm very happy for Dominic. That guy, he's got it. He's got it. I'm a huge fan. Shout out to Hollywood Guy. Thank you for the 5 spot, my friend. He arrived a little bit late. That's okay. Better late than never. Let's see what Mr. Hollywood says. That's not Hollywood. How come Hollywood is not showing up? It'll show up. Give it a minute. He says, Mr. Tony, I arrived late. Not sure if I meant an Andrade. Yeah, we did like 10 minutes ago. That he asked for his release and what is going on with Matt Riddle. Has he lost his mind? Well, I'll add this about Andrade. I don't know if he's asked for his release. I heard that there was some type of an incident. Someone told me that they heard that it involved an awkward situation with Charlotte. Do I quit the company because my ex-wife is working there? See, no, I mean, like, we got to find out more. I think we got to find out more. But, you know, does this open up the opportunity to Rey Fenix to team up with Penta? El Zero Miedo. I mean, come on. What are we waiting for? Seriously. I mean, like, why not do it? I mean, you have them on separate brands for what? You know, I understood, even though I hated, I understood when Devon decided to be a reverend. And I don't know what the fuck they were doing with Bubba Ray back then. When WWE split up one of the greatest tag teams in history and fucking had Devon hold a fucking, you know, have Batista hold a fucking donation box. For what? You know, like, tag team wrestling right now kind of sucks. And maybe that's why they're not together. Well, because tag team wrestling kind of sucks right now. Put them back fucking together. Everybody wants to see it. You know, don't wait until we get closer to WrestleMania. Put them back fucking together. Rey Fenix, you know, and listen, if we're being honest, Rey Fenix is extremely talented. But he's also extremely injury prone. You know, it doesn't feel like he's at the Performance Center like Jade Cargill was. And Jade Cargill was working her goddamn ass off to rebuild, you know, her foundation, because AEW, it was never, you know, that solid because, you know, they just threw her right in there. You know, Rey Fenix is very injury prone, and I hope to God he doesn't get injured again. But I think we all, you know, you have like Super Bowl pools. You put $100 down and you get like the worst numbers. You get like a 3 and a 5. You're like, fuck. Like, I think there's probably pools out there somewhere. Like, what month does Rey Fenix get injured again? And for how long? Oh, wow, look, I got 4 months, and, you know, I got March and 5 months, you know, and 3 and 5. There's goddamn 3 and 5s. That was not intentional. As far as Matt Riddle goes, you know, let me say this. The charity thing was a little fucked up because the guy that was running, well, it wasn't even a charity event. I mean, it was a regular event, but turned into it. The guy ran on social media literally like 48 hours after the show finished. And listen, should Matt Riddle have refunded the money before the event? Yes, absolutely. No question. But I also agree that if I thought the event was on a Saturday. It was on a Sunday. And the guy wanted to fly Matt Riddle into the UK or wherever it was on a Thursday. What is he supposed to do Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, Friday afternoon, Friday night, Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. And, oh, we'll get your bookings elsewhere. And there were no bookings. Like, yeah, I would have a problem with that. And when the promoter is a douchebag, fuck you. You know, if I'm Matt Riddle, you know what I would do? Listen, you know, I'll PayPal you the money now, or I'll PayPal it to you in an hour. And the guy acts like a douchebag. Oh, will you look at that? My computer, my internet just went down. Oh, will you look at that? I got a spyware alert. Then I would literally screenshot. I would do a selfie. If I'm Matt Riddle, I'd do a selfie. I literally stand in the background with PayPal to the guy where my mouse is literally on the send button, and I go like this, and I selfie, and I'll be like this, fuck you, now you got to wait an extra day. You know, when some people are, even with my wife, honey, I need the money for the dog insurance. All right, I'll give it to you in an hour. But can't you do it now? I'm like, what's going to happen? It's 11 o'clock at night. Pay the bill in the morning. Why do I have to PayPal you now? Could you just PayPal it now? I'm like, you know, I'm in the middle of doing something. Now you got to wait an hour. You know, but she always wins because, you know, she'll take other things away from me. Matt Riddle was dealing with a dick. And Matt Riddle, you know, it's like you never bullshit a bullshitter. Try to be a dick to somebody who's a bigger dick than you. I don't blame him, but the behavior that has happened since, Matt Riddle needs to understand you are not winning the IWC popularity contest. And there's too many podcasters out there that will take a picture of him with his red hair and psychoanalyze him to make him look like an unhinged, crazy guy. And he'll lose because there's enough people out there that want a reason to shit on him. And I think Matt Riddle needs to understand that. And if someone happens to be watching this tonight, I say that with nothing but love intended. You know, you're not going to win this. You know, just do what you've been doing. Just, the guy's been kicking ass. You know, just move on from that because he's not going to win that argument. You know, look, the CM Punk AJ Lee stuff, that's built up for a while. And listen, I'm still blocked on all social media platforms from CM Punk. And that's from years ago. Even before that MMA documentary where our show was featured on there, you know, that was even before that I was blocked from him. I've been blocked from him for years. I absolutely love what he's been doing in the WWE since he came back. Shit, if I look hard enough, I'll find ice cream wrappers somewhere in this room from that time. I have at least probably 10 ice cream wrappers from when he debuted in AEW. And I never gave them away. But the thing is, just because I'm a huge fan right now doesn't take away, you know, like the shit that he used to do, which is why we criticize him the way we did and we got blocked over it. My point is that underlying dislike, just because we're happy AJ Lee is back and just because CM Punk has been killing it, doesn't mean that people that did not like him are suddenly going to like him. You know, it comes out. Even Hulk Hogan. You know, you go back 2 years. Go back 2 years. This coming week is the 2-year anniversary that he got married. And he was dealing with some health problems. And there was an article where he showed up at a charity event and he couldn't even walk. Like his back was really, really bad. And it didn't get a lot of press because a lot of people didn't show sympathy for Hulk Hogan. But at the same time that he's doing some charity events and just got married and, you know, you kind of don't hear much controversy about Hulk Hogan. This is way before the election, I should add. You got people like The Godfather and others that are doing interviews and saying, you know, Hulk is not the good person that people think he is and this and that. Like, there's an underlying animosity that doesn't go away simply because someone becomes popular or time goes by. And again, I think Matt Riddle shouldn't have said that, but there's much more to the story than meets the eye. You don't simply just wake up and say, who can I piss off today? I got it, AJ Lee. Maybe AJ Styles, when he said someone in the back is trying to get rid of me. Maybe it's AJ Lee. There's only one AJ in the WWE. You know? I could do the simulcast like Nitro in Florida. Yeah, it's Shane on one side and Vince McMahon on the other side. You could have AJ Lee and AJ Styles on the other side. And AJ Lee, the contract says AJ, but it's AJ Lee. And you have AJ Styles do the, when Vince went, that was great. Panama City, Florida. The contract says AJ, but it's AJ Lee. AJ Styles, you're fired. AJ Lee's trying to take out AJ Styles. There can only be one AJ in the company. How long have we gone? We got 20 minutes left. Maggie says, I'm not talking about the disgusting things about Punk and AJ Lee. He looked high on that video and he was slurring his words. I don't know. I've seen videos of Matt Riddle where, he kind of looks zooted, but if we're fair, we also remember, and it was the anniversary, and I purposely took it off the thumbnail for this weekend. It was the anniversary where Jeff Hardy was in a diner, and just so happened, hey, CM Punk, fuck you. It's on the history show that we just posted, but I didn't put it in the thumbnail because I'm like, you know what? Jeff Hardy's cleaned his ass up. Jeff Hardy was, I don't know what he was on that night, but all I know is that, it made fentanyl look like a Flintstone vitamin. Jeff Hardy was fucked up that night. Hey, CM Punk, fuck you. The video shouldn't have been done. I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying there's an underlining, anger there that I don't know if that ever gets resolved. So, Hollywood guy, thank you for the 2-spot. Rumors of Alberto Del Rio not come. Wait, there are rumors about Alberto Del Rio coming back. Oh yeah. Let me put it this way: Rey Mysterio did the opposite of Triple H. Remember when the fans were chanting, "We want Cross"? Oh, you want Brock? You got him. And Peter Rosenberg, oof, I piss in his milk when he was not looking. Oh, yeah, you got him. You got him. He's the one that went along with it with Triple H. He gets no credit for his dickness that day. But when the fans were chanting for Patron, Rey Mysterio on the Triple Mania said, he'll be back. He'll be back. I don't think that's Rey just trying to appease the live crowd that night. I think he will be back. How you bring him back? Honestly, I thought about it over the weekend, and I think this is the perfect time for me to say it. I thought Patron would be Dos. Remember when El Grande Americano had Dos? Because remember, Patron is Dos Caros Jr. Makes sense. He's Dos. Duh. Then I thought about it this weekend. I'm like, DT, man, you could be stupid sometimes. Why would WWE bring him back on a Worlds Collide show? If WWE wants Patron to just be a Mexican thing, you don't put him on a show where you're advertising WWE and AAA. So I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, DT, wow, you're so stupid. They'll do it on a Mexican event. You might have some WWE wrestlers on it, but it's going to be an event that happens in Mexico, and that's when he gets brought back. I think that's happening. Listen, Patron has done some awful things. Should he be Joey Ryan out of Mexico? No, that's not how they operate there. And even if Triple H absolutely does not want Patron back in that company, he's going to have to prove to Mexican wrestling fans in Mexico that he's got to back up what he said in a recent interview. If I ran WWE the way I want to, I'd be out of business. Well, you're going to have to do the same thing for AAA. You got to show the Mexican fans that despite how you feel about Patron, you're not going to banish him from AAA. I think he will be back, not on a Worlds Collide event. I think he will be back. I really do. So, Jimmy Fingers, what's up, Jimmy? Jimmy! Thank you for Jimmy. What do I think upsets people the most about Saudi Mania? Is it because the female talent will have to wrestle in Kill Bill tight suits in a woman oppressed country, or are people more upset that it wasn't in the UK first? Oh, I don't think the UK is the reason. UK, I think, is going to happen within the next 5 years. I think if I'm WWE, Vegas, Saudi, United States again, United Kingdom. U.S., Vegas, Saudi, U.S., Saudi, U.S., United Kingdom. That's how I would do it. Now, obviously, a lot of stars have to be aligned with that, but that's how I would do it. And listen, I think the reason why, out of every excuse that people have made, and I saw a lot of arguments this weekend. I watched JD, I watched Coach, I watched a couple other podcasters out there. I watched some on Twitter that I was just too lazy to fucking change the page. What I get is the reason why people are most upset is because this is just another example of TKO doing for money than fan first, which I know sounds a little bit laughable if you are in the business world, but this is just, put it this way, when you got Mark Shapiro dissing Vince McMahon 3 days before, saying that Vince was more about family friendly and didn't focus on how much potential WWE could really make in money, and then 3 days later you announce a $100 million WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia, it feels like WWE is strictly corporate. I used to say for 15 years, WWE answers to the investors, the advertisers, and the networks. Investors, advertisers, networks. That's who they answer to. This is it on steroids now. TKO could give a flying fuck if they make the ticket prices so high that you can't go anymore. You know what they'll say? You can watch it on television. You could go to one of those little buildings that they have now that you feel like you're almost there. But I don't want to defend them by saying this. Look at the Super Bowl. Look at the World Series. Look at Taylor Swift concerts. Look at Taylor Swift, here's some breaking news. She didn't start singing 5 years ago. There was a point where you could go see her very, very cheap. Now, the demand is so outrageous. People don't realize like how much money you have to spend to go to a lot of major sporting events. So this feels just another example that TKO will whore out WWE for the right dollar figure. A lot of people think that they whored themselves out of New Orleans and went to Las Vegas because Vegas opened up a much bigger financial opportunity. Now, I don't know what truly happened with New Orleans, but it kind of reminds me like a scene in Goodfellas. It looks like a fucking mafia move like, hey, don't tell anyone. Just shut your fucking mouth. We'll come. Just shut the fuck up. Don't say a thing. Shut up. Like New Orleans just fucking suddenly it couldn't happen. It went from happening to not happening. I think that's what it is. It just feels that they don't give a shit about anything but bottom line, maximizing profits. Again, the day WWE was sold is the day that WWE was no longer WWE. It's TKO doing business as WWE. That's what it is. Look, I wasn't going to WrestleMania in 2 years, even if it was in my backyard, because I ain't spending that kind of money unless I got a press pass. If, almost all of us were not going to WrestleMania. So what's different now? If you force me to try to say something good about this, okay. If you're going to force me to say something good about this, let me say it first, and you might agree with me. If you want to get the greatest storylines, spectacle, and match possibilities, you're doing it at WrestleMania 43. Why? Because that is the final year of their 10-year agreement with Saudi Arabia. And if WWE wants to renew their deal with Saudi and get more money, you know, let's be honest, Netflix and ESPN is kind of giving them more money than Saudi Arabia. You know, if they want to extend the deal with Saudi Arabia and get even more money, they're going to have to rock our socks off with WrestleMania 43. They're going to have to pull out all the fucking stops. This is going to be the best of the best that there is to offer. Let's just hope to God we don't start seeing crossovers from boxing, UFC, hip hop, this, anybody that fucking whores themselves out to Saudi Arabia right now. You know, let's just hope it doesn't happen that way. You know, and that could very well be. I mean, you could see it already. Oh, look, Bad Bunny versus Travis Scott versus Jelly Roll. Yay. You know, that could really happen. When you're talking that kind of money, you know, trust me, if the Crown Prince wants someone dug up, hey, brother, they're gonna have to give us an amazing show. Let's just hope that it's an amazing show. If you're forcing me to say something good about this, you're gonna force them to put out an amazing show. Like, I don't think we're gonna get like Shawn Michaels out of retirement once again. Triple H is not gonna battle his fucking pacemaker in a match. You know, we're not gonna see stupid shit like that, but we might see like the best storylines we possibly can. I just hope to God we don't have these. You want to do a little crossover, fine. As far as the women dressed the way it was, you know, the one thing that stuck out to me, I don't have the right picture to show it, but when I was watching the press conference, if you notice, like, where's Liv Morgan? Liv Morgan is behind Triple H. And Liv Morgan would not be able to wear the outfit that she had if this press conference was in Saudi Arabia. Like, she would be wearing what Charlotte Flair was wearing. Yeah, she looked dressed to kill. But look, you're going to have Mania. They're going to have to wear full bodysuits. That's what it is. You know, it's part of the deal, man. They've been doing business with them for 8 years. You know, look at all the other entertainment outlets out there that are doing business. Look at Riyadh season. I don't think, if you take 10 minutes of your time and look at Riyadh season for 2025 and see what was there, I mean, your head will explode. You won't believe, like, you realize that almost everything. Listen, will a Super Bowl happen in Riyadh? Yeah, I don't know when, but yeah, I do believe a Super Bowl at some point is going to be in Saudi Arabia. You know, I don't think the World Series, the NBA Finals, but almost everything is now going to Saudi. That's what it is. You know, WWE is pretty much like everybody else. All right. Very briefly, I do want to mention this awful story. What happened with Iryna Zarutska, I believe her name is. You know, I saw, you know, I didn't see the complete footage, but, you know, again, you look at this picture, and I saw somebody on social media. Hang on a second. Let me just give me 1 second, guys. You see this picture, and then somebody, hang on, somebody post this. If the roles were reversed, if this was a white person taking out a knife and doing it to a black woman, everybody else on the train was white, what would have happened? All I'll say is this. This will never escape me. Seeing that girl as scared as she is. I don't care if she's white or black or anything else. She did absolutely nothing to deserve that. And look, do I blame anybody in the car for not helping her right away? It's hard to say, man. It's hard to say. Like, if I'm sitting right next to her and this guy that's like 6'5" whips out a fucking knife and starts doing it, like, maybe I look at the other people in the car, like, take him down. Like, you could freeze. I can't explain for them. I don't think those people on that train should be doxxed or anything like that. But you know what I think about? I think about the Daniel Penny story. Daniel Penny was that guy, I think from the military, right? That somebody was harassing people on the train in New York and put a chokehold or something on, and unfortunately the guy died from it. And they were trying to put him in jail for murder. And, he ended up getting out. But the point is, I wonder how many people who don't get involved because they're afraid, holy shit, if I try to stop this guy and I accidentally, or if I fucking kill the guy, I'm going to go to jail for 40 years. This guy that committed this murder, I think his name was DeCarlos Brown, he was arrested 16 times. And, for some pretty fucked up crimes too. And to me, what's wrong with this country also is they have this no bail, this cashless bail now. Like the last time he was arrested, all he had to do was sign a paper promising to appear, and he was let out. I mean, there's got to be a deterrent to stop people from doing certain crimes. Now, when you're mentally fucked up, you're going to do what you want to do. When I saw what happened to Charlie Kirk and people were saying, oh, we need gun control, I swear to fucking God, maybe one day I'll do it. I'll take this phone and I'll literally call a friend of mine and say, hey, you know anyone that can get me a 9? He'll probably say to me, like, why are you calling me on a Sunday night for? But if somebody truly wants to take someone out and I can't get it through legal means, I'll fucking go into the black market and get it. The idea that, oh, you're going to stop someone. The guy that killed Charlie Kirk, I just realized this, whoever wrote this, why does that look like it's misspelled? Well, anyway, the guy that killed him has no criminal background, has no issues of mental illness. Why can't he go into a store and buy it? So, how do you stop that? You can't. The thing is, though, is these judges have to be held accountable. You have to be able to start suing. You have to start suing the legal system. You got to start, like a lot of police. I see more and more stories of people suing police for various things. And in the past, they were untouchable. And more, it's starting to leak into the court system. People need to be held accountable. Listen, I'm not going to get political here, but here in New York, you got this guy in Mandami that's running. And he said that what he wants to put out there is loads of people that are involved with mental health, going onto the subways and going this, and basically like mental health advocates. And I'm just saying to myself, number one, you can't diagnose someone while they're on the train if they're mentally fucked up or not. If I try to whack someone, I already have a couple of eggs short of a dozen. So how could you psychoanalyze someone as something is happening? And then what happens when that person turns the weapon on you? What are you going to do? You're going to call 911. So the idea is we got to have a deterrent. You can't let people go to jail 16 times and keep letting them off. And if someone is deemed to be mentally unstable, you'd have to put them in a mental hospital. I don't know if you could do it by force, But if you sentence someone to prison time, then maybe someone they'll take a deal like, instead of me getting 10 years in prison, I get 5 years in a mental institution, and you get evaluated after 5 years, and maybe you get help. But all I know is that these tragedies happen and everybody feels guilty afterwards. Oh, the system failed. Do you have any idea how many DeCarlos Browns are walking around that are white, black, straight, gay, male, female? There's millions of whack jobs floating around. And you can't say, well, he was dealing with mental illness and trying to downplay it. You have to start doing something about this. And when you see somebody like that being let out that many times, somebody needs to be sued over it. Not the system let this person down, because you're just waiting for the next person to do it, and the next person to do it, and the next person to do it. There's a lot of mentally unstable people there, and you look at what happened to Charlie Kirk. I said it at the beginning of the show. For 20 years, this has been building. And whether you like it or not, no matter which side you take on this, there's a lot of people out there that, look, we have a difference of opinion. See me? I disagreed with a lot of views that Charlie Kirk had. Never would cross my mind to hurt him. I think you're wrong on this. I think you're wrong on that. I think my biggest argument is people who came into this country illegally, who have committed no crimes and are just trying to have a better life in their family. I think they should be able, they're here already. I think they should have an opportunity to stay. Get a temporary ID, let them pay taxes, let them do income tax, federal, state. And if they stay out of trouble, like I said, 5 years from now, they get another extension and get another extension, and you focus only on the ones that have committed violent crimes, whether here or came in. Those are the people you focus with. The problem is you have other people that if you disagree with that, you're a racist, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're a piece of shit, you're a fascist, you're this, you're this, you're that, you're a Nazi, you're this, you're this, you're that. And when you tell people long enough that this person is this, they start believing you. And especially these 20-something-year-olds that listen, you see what happened when Obama was president. I'm not slighting him right now, but there was a lot of tension going out there that everything was black and white. If you didn't support this, you were racist. You did this, you're racist. People took advantage of it on both sides. The IRS would do this and this and that. And the problem is when you label class of people enough, people start believing you. That's why when you see some of these news reports, like I said, that fucking Trump rally in Madison Square Garden, you had news journalists, athletes, musicians, politicians saying that every single person in that building was racist. I mean, how careless and disrespectful is that? No matter who they vote for. You say that enough times, you brainwash people, especially people who are coming up in their teens. Trump became president, how many years ago? 8 years ago? And people now who are like 22 years old were 14 at the time. And since they hit puberty, they've been told that this guy is a racist, this guy is this, and people who support him is this, this, and this. Now you get older, and you've been convinced pretty much your entire, life outside of watching cartoons as a preteen that these people are a threat. They're a Nazi. They're Hitler. They're KKK. They're this, they're that, they're this. And then you look at history of what we did to those people, and you're like, hey, I have to step up. I have to be the hero. I'm doing something right. You're brainwashing a whole generation of people to think that people are homophobes and transphobes and racist and this and that and this. Just because you look at Snoop lately. Did you see what happened with Snoop when he started talking about going to see a movie with my kid and seeing like a guy and a guy, a boy and this and that? And he got eviscerated about it. He's like, oh, I should have been. No, you shouldn't have fucking apologized. Something dumb like Pat McAfee going to fucking Canada, and he gets upset because they booed the national anthem. And what does this motherfucker do? Because I need hits, I need ad revenue, I gotta be popular. He fucking backs down and, apologizes. This is what happens. People are pressured into a certain, to not speak up. And all this is going to do is going to force people to speak up even more. But unfortunately, for about 20 years, we've built, I said it 20 years ago, the pussification of America. Not everybody is like this, but you're going to see loads of people in their 20s to late 30s being mostly responsible for all this outrageous shit, because especially the ones in their 20s, this is all they know. And it's terrible. It's terrible. No matter how you felt about Charlie Kirk, no one deserves to be killed especially the way he was. And the people out there celebrating it, boy, those people, they're done. They're no better. They talk about whack jobs. Those are very, very, very miserable people. But also understand that they have been sold a bag of beans for about 15 to 20 years, so they don't know any better. They think that someone truly got rid of somebody extremely evil. There are people that truly feel that way. And who's responsible? The people who don't realize their words matter. All right. Getting back to wrestling, because we're going to start wrapping this up. Jimmy, thank you for your generosity, my friend. He wonders if the Sheik will pay top dollar to see Maven do a match at WrestleMania 43. Maven seems like a nice guy, but I have zero interest in any stories he has to tell. He would rather see a podcast from Johnny Rods and Frankie Williams. Well, Frankie Williams would be very interesting if he did a podcast now, because he's been deceased for quite some time. Johnny Rods, man, I wish Johnny Rods would have done a podcast like 10, 15 years ago. I've talked about when I worked for VPW in the late 2000s, one of the most brightest parts of it was hanging out with Johnny Rods. Johnny Rods, I mean, you've seen a little bit of video, but that guy, I used to talk about him, Lincolns and Cadillacs. We talked about wrestling, talked about everything, but we talked Lincolns and Cadillacs. That guy was a Lincoln and Cadillac type of guy. He was pimping. Johnny Rods was awesome. I would have loved to hear him podcast like 15 years ago. Maven is charismatic. Maven is easy on the eyes. Maven is very, very smooth as a talker. But, if we're being honest, and Maven would never say this publicly, but even when he was talking to Chris Van Vliet, you could see that he was kind of like telling shit as he went along. Oh, yeah, a bunch of people thanked me for saying what he said about Triple H. Motherfucker, do you have any idea how many wrestlers have said stuff about Triple H? Who do you fucking think is going to come out of the woodwork and thank Maven? Really. It's very easy for somebody to say something like that. How do you challenge it? You can't. The guy is a hustler. The guy has realized that he could live off of ad revenue and, do the things that he's doing. It'll dry up. I mean, I feel bad for saying this, but look at Jim Ross's podcast. I've been to weddings to have more views on some of his videos now. Why? Jim Ross is still very fun to hear. And he's still entertaining, and he's smart, and he's still great. But when you're doing this for so long and talking for so long, there's only so many times you could talk about Vince McMahon and talk about this and talk about Sting and talk about Nitro and talk about this and talk about that, and it gets old. And unfortunately for him now, a lot of his videos are getting horrible views because he's said it all. And people are kind of like, it feels like you're just rehashing stuff now. Plus, you got to understand, he still works for AEW, so he's got to be very careful how he talks about today's product on both sides. So Jim Ross is just in a bad situation. But, Maven at some point, it'll dry up. And, I don't know what you'd go from there. I mean, I still remember the home shopping days, that dried up. he's, for people that enjoy watching him, he's fun. I mean, Maven is entertaining. I'm not going to take that away from him. Am I jealous of him? No, because that's not my style. I'm not trying to do that. I talk to everybody like they're my friends. Maven is just telling stories and hope that you click on it, and with a little catch, a little teaser to come with it. That's fine. That's his style, and he's killing it. No issue with that. But you are a hustler, Maven. Let's be honest. He's a hustler. Hustler, hustler. Tristan, was I shocked the first time I saw Kevin Nash and Goldberg's streak? Did I think it was time to end? Thank you for that, Jimmy. His streak was getting a little bit tiresome. Shouldn't have ended with a stun gun. People were kind of surprised. I think what followed made it even more like a wet fart. I didn't want it to end like that. I thought it was pretty dumb, especially when they used the sound effects with it as well. His streak was great, but were we micro-analyzing the streak at that time? I don't think so. I don't remember if Dave Meltzer micro-analyzed it. I don't recall if Dave Meltzer said, well, these numbers are kind of, they're manufactured and, they're manipulated and, he's really only 44-0. I don't remember any of that. But it did get tiresome. But he shouldn't have lost it the way he did. Theme Parks and Things with Johnny was pissed when it ended like that. Yeah, it just felt like, listen, I'm not defending creative at all. But I could picture creative meaning saying, we can't just have Goldberg get pinned. It's going to take a cattle prod to take him down. That's what takes him down. I think Goldberg's bad acting didn't help because he's laid out and he's people do that when they have an orgasm. You go back and you watch Goldberg's reaction when he's laid out. I didn't like it. Austin Nance celebrating 54 months. It's not only a channel member, but moderator here. Thanks for all you've done and continue to do at DT. Yes. 2026, we will expand. We will definitely expand. Don't know how we will expand. I have some ideas. Once we're done with the history show, that's going to open up some days. Don't know if we'll do it every single day. I'm tempted to open a second channel to talk about other stuff, but I don't think that's a good idea because I don't want to talk. I always seem to bring wrestling into stuff. You know what I mean? So if I do a channel that focuses more outside of wrestling and we start talking about wrestling, then other people will be like, the hell is this? So I don't think we're going to do another channel, but I think we will expand it. I'll probably poll a lot of you to see what you want. And also I want to figure out how we can do these early in the day. Definitely would love to do 1 or 2 days, in the morning or in the afternoon at some point. Definitely would be good. Hate going to sleep at 2, 3 in the morning, having to get up at 6:30. Be like Goldberg. My alarm goes off and I'll be like this. No. Just goofing. Just saw this now, my friend. Thank you. He gifted 5 memberships earlier. That was very, very cool, my friend. Thank you, Just goofing. Much love to you, my friend. All right. Let's start bringing this home. We'll finish up in 5 minutes. Roderick Howard, would I rather see Rock face Roman or Cody at Saudi Mania? Roman. I won't say it'll have the Hogan Rock vibe from WrestleMania. There is one thing that I'm a little concerned about. I bet you no one has talked about this yet. It just hit me now because of Rock Hogan. How crazy are the Saudi fans going to get? You know what I mean? Like, first of all, we don't know what building it's going to be in. If it's a building that seats 60,000, 100,000, yeah, then we might actually get a lot of noise. I'm not saying that the Saudi fans aren't noisy, but this is not going to be a Puerto Rico or France or, you know what I mean? Like, how does the crowd react? You know what I mean? France is another good one. Xander says hire an editor, alleviate the late nights. I do most of my synopsis before I even do my shows. I prepare my topics in advance. So I don't have that much editing to do afterwards. It's just doing it late night gets to be a problem. And, I don't want to get to a point where health catches up to me and I can't do it no more. So trust me, it ain't an editor. Even my thumbnails are starting to become easy shit to do. I mean, my God, 2 weeks ago, how awesome was this? I don't know if I have it on my screen here, but if I have it really quick, I'll show you. You people, you'll get a good laugh out of this. Okay, I found one. Let me see if I can find the other. Oh, please. Oh, yeah, I did find it. Okay. How great is this? I'm sure some of you picked up on this. This was my thumbnail from 2 weeks ago. And this was my thumbnail last week. I literally just changed the question mark to an exclamation point and changed AJ Lee from, past, present. Like that's all I did. I was like, okay, that was good. That was like the easiest thumbnail I think I've ever done. And so few people had a good laugh out of it. Like, wow, good extra effort this week. I don't know. I think the Hogan thumbnail, I think is underappreciated because I totally forgot that Heather Clemler was that hot. She was freaking hot at that time. Yeah, I mean, when I put that thumbnail together, like I did a little research on her and I was like, whoa, I don't remember her being like that attractive. I don't know what she looks like now. Not interested. 316 MMA. How do I book Liv's return? And I think AAA will have a show on Peacock's network. They're making money on YouTube. Sure, they could work out a deal down the line, but when you realize how much money the Mexican wrestlers make, and you see that Worlds Collide did 1.5 million views, and you realize the ad revenue involved, think about that for a minute. I mean, let's put it this way. If I do a show and I get 5,000 views, forget super chats, just say like ad revenue, 5,000 views, I probably make about, I don't know, let's say $8. All right. Add a zero to that, that's $80. Add another zero to that, that's 800. Add another zero to that, that's 8,000. And another, like, they definitely had to have gotten 5 digits just in ad revenue. And then you realize all they did was throw it on YouTube. That's all they did. They just threw it on YouTube. That's the only thing that changed. Merchandise, people in the arena, food, beverage, So it's not a crazy moneymaker, but I don't think it would go on Peacock anytime soon. Like if you worked out a deal like that, you're not going to get that many views. All right. Let's take 2 more questions and let's jet. Yeah, I say leave it on YouTube. It's, you know what it is? Here's what it comes down to. Look at Saturday night's main event. You heard, obviously WWE is going to have ESPN with premium live events, starting with WrestlePalooza. So Peacock is going to still have NXT pay-per-views, and they're going to have the 4 Saturday Night's main events. And people are like, oh, well, they worked out a deal with 4 Saturday Night's main events. What people do not realize, and do a little Google search if you don't believe me, you go back a year with the return of Saturday Night's main event and Jesse the Bounty Ventura returning. The press release a year ago for Saturday Night's main event was that 4 times a year, it was going to air on NBC and Peacock. So the announcement very recently of Saturday Night's main event airing on Peacock, if anything, if they are pulling it off of NBC, to me, that's a negative thing. If they're generating enough viewers, why would you eliminate that option? NBC Universal, no matter which way you look at it, it's still going to the same source. But the deal with Peacock was already there. It was announced a year ago. They made it seem like a brand new deal. So, you know, when it comes to AAA, right now, it's trying to get American fans used to the product enough that once in a while you will pay money for it. And that's not going to happen in 6 months' time. Having Dominic as the champion is definitely a nice little touch because there's enough people that are WWE fans that will watch for the WWE crossover. But right now, it's just trying to get fans to, you know, accept AAA as another viewing option that you would watch every couple of months. And that's why we keep it on YouTube. Keep it on YouTube. Leave it there. All right. Yeah, Peacock also has an ad-supported tier. Absolutely. Plus, you could also watch replays. You know, for the people out there that are like, oh, I don't want to see WrestleMania at 10 o'clock in the morning. Well, sleep late. Sleep late. Don't go on social media. Don't look at spoilers. No one is telling you to look at spoilers. Sleep late. I want to watch it at 7 o'clock. Okay. And stay the fuck offline. No, but I can't. I must. I can't. Well, that's on you. It's on you. Me, personally, I'm fine with watching WrestleMania at 11 o'clock in the morning. Fuck yeah. You know, I do my sit down at 8 o'clock at night. You know, everybody else who done their lunch recaps. Everybody's racing to be the first one, and you got those ridiculous over-the-top reactions. Hopefully that'll be shown on a WWE highlight video. You know, somebody turns heel. You know, like, there's some wrestling fans that truly feel that. They truly react. Then there's some people like, I guarantee you, am I wrong, my friends? Some of those people that you see repeatedly on the WWE highlight videos, they absolutely, they take a shower, take a bubble bath, and they get out, and they got their, you know, like their nightshirt on or their T-shirt, and they're looking in the mirror and they're brushing their teeth or they're shaving or, you know, whatever you do. And then right before they turn the bathroom light off to go to bed, they look in the mirror and they go like this, you know, like, James Romero, I love you, my friend. I love his WSI channel and all that stuff, but now he's doing reaction videos, and he... You'll never ever see me in a bathroom going like this. Honey, do you think this is the look that I should have when Rock lays out Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 42? My wife will be like, what the fuck did I marry? Update, James, update the Dutch Mantel ones. Update those. They're a little bit old now. A little bit old. Guys, I'm going to jet. We're going to have a fun Raw tomorrow. 7 p.m. start time Eastern. So Raw will start an hour earlier than usual, which means it'll end an hour earlier than usual, which means I will start my live show an hour earlier than usual. The website to catch me live, DTKCDiscord.com. DTKCDiscord.com. So my Discord channel, we will be live. People keep asking me, will I stream live on YouTube? next year after Raw. It's a possibility, but I am not leaving Discord. If we add YouTube, we will add it, but Discord will always be in play. So it's a fun atmosphere. It's very intimate, and it's a nice, easy way to tune in. So, but we'll worry about that in due time. So I will tell you that the end of this year is coming a lot quicker than we think. And especially with the John Cena stuff, John Cena, we got truly about 3 months left because his final match will be Saturday night's main event, middle of December. And I still think it's going to be Gunther. I think Gunther is going to be his final opponent. Gunther is going to retire John Cena. And I think once it comes time that Randy Orton's going to have his retirement match, I think Gunther is going to be the one to do it. I think Gunther, at the end of the day, when we look back at Gunther's career, there's going to be a whole bunch of retirement matches that he retired people. And then someone else will end up retiring him at the very end. So, guys, be well. Much love. Just an awful week, for just the tragedies on the outside. And look, I ain't changing the world. You ain't changing the world. But if we concern ourselves with our inner circle and, focus on that and just treat people how you want to be treated, I think if more people did that, the world would be in so much more of a better place. I'll leave you with something really quick. I mentioned this on Patreon the other day, but some of you will find this funny because if you Google it, you'll see it. I have a customer that works in New York City as a doorman for a very posh hotel. I mean, he gets tipped like $100 just for bringing somebody's bags in. Very, very high posh hotel. And every year he's got to watch these classes about, just behavior and how you treat others. And I don't know if ADP sponsors it, but I actually have the video. I don't want to expose it because, we'll throw, it's not good. But if you Google it, you'll see what I'm talking about. And he comes in, and now he's in his 70s. He comes in and he's like, how do I watch this video? I don't even go into the fucking computer. So we go and check on the computer, and the video's about 30 minutes long. And I said, listen, you want some coffee? You want to watch it here? I said, I'll leave it on my computer. I'll do my paperwork. You watch it here. So he's like, you sure? And I'm like, yeah. So we put it on. And it is the cheesiest of cheese. If any of you have ever watched like a driver's ed class and the videos are from like the 1980s or a defensive driver class, this video was every stereotypical thing that you would see like in the office world. Like there's a guy that goes into a bar and he happens to see two female coworkers and he buys them drinks and he's trying to hit on her. And they're like, is this the right thing to do in the office environment? And it's so cheesily bad. The best one, and I'm going to put a screenshot next week just to put a laugh. There's a woman, and I'm not even exaggerating this. There's a woman, she's black, and she's got hair that looks like two giant Mickey Mouse ears. And it's a beautiful hairstyle. I mean, it's just impressive. And she comes in to work, and there's three other black women and one white woman. And this is on a video, this is a training video. And she comes in and everybody's like, oh my God, what did you do to your hair? That's so amazing. And she's like, so-and-so did it. Every week she does these things and everything. And like, oh, that's awesome, this and that. Like Leanne, Friday, we're going to be having a get together at her house. Maybe you want to come. And they're like, oh, that would be amazing. And they're all there. And this one white girl's like, oh, that's awesome. And they look at her and like, I don't know if you should go. I don't think, that your hair is so long and blonde and then they're like, is this the appropriate thing to say in an office? It was just like the worst of the worst. Like if you took any like most horrible, cheesy thing, there was a guy that came back to work and he was talking about something and he's, oh, I know. I'll give you one more before we go. This is even better. And I'll get a screenshot of this guy too. There's a guy that's coming in for a job interview and there's a bunch of people waiting and he goes in and he says, hi, I'm supposed to see so-and-so. And they're like, okay, please have a seat. Would you like a cup of coffee? And he sits down and everything. And guy walks in, an executive, And he's like, are you so-and-so? Yes, I am. Okay, well, I'm going to bring you to introduce you to this person. And he takes this guy and they walk down and they see this woman. And they're like, Lisa, I'd like to introduce you to so-and-so. He's applying for the job. And the guy looks at him like this. And they're like, was it appropriate to identify this person as he? He didn't identify himself as he. So there's a follow-up video where the executive goes up to this person and says, Mike, I just want to apologize for what I said earlier. I shouldn't have immediately assumed that you identify yourself as a he. You know, I will do better. And like, is this the proper way to do it? And then they show you like a poll, like 98% of the people say yes. At the end of the day, I watched this video with this guy and I said, you know what we learned from this? If you just treat people with fucking respect, they'll treat you with respect back. Treat people how you want to be treated. Like they just showed like the worst of people. And it's like, oh my God. You know, if you really want to avoid awkward situations like that, just say someone's name. Mike is applying for the position. You know, we hope that Mike will get the job instead of we hope that he gets the job. He just looked at it and was like, wait. I hate those videos, man. Like, I know I do better. And I know a lot of you could do better. You don't need a video to see it. But I swear to God, if you Google it, I think it's ADP that puts it out. I'll definitely take the 2 screenshots. When you see the woman with the Mickey Mouse hair, it's impressive, man. I mean, I don't know. It was a real haircut, too. But the way they did it, because this one blonde-haired, you know, she looked like Marsha Brady. And like, oh, I don't think he should go. Unbelievable, man. I got some wild customers. And I have a wild neighbor. A wild neighbor. Although I do think at the end of the day, I think, this man needs to back out of the race, and so does Adams, and maybe they could all align and be a little bit of a team and, be well, everyone. I'm out of here. I'll catch you all in the next one.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.